There we go. Happy Thursday, friends. Oops, what am I doing here? Welcome to Online Steps to Success. I'm so glad that you're here or joining us. Oh, you're probably not here yet. Let's see if I can see myself. How about that? We're going to hope. Hi, Sandy. How are you? Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm really, really excited about tonight because last week we had a really great conversation about attraction marketing and just about attracting the right people to you and what that looks like and how you do that and why you should be doing that. All of those things. Hold on one second. As you can tell, I'm having an issue. I don't know how to work things. Sandy, I'm so glad you're doing well. Okay, who else do I have? Sorry, y'all. If you're on Facebook, I haven't even seen. Why can't I see you? Okay. Hello. Not the first time, right? I've ever done this. Okay. Hi, thanks for liking my lip color. I don't have these like voluptuous my top lip is so non-existent, but it's okay. I play with it. How are you guys? Hi, Sandra. I miss you, friend. Thanks, Kaylee. It's a little sultry. I felt like tonight. You know how sometimes you just feel like, I don't know, maybe you don't. Maybe that's just me. Hi, Sherry. I'm so glad to see you. Okay, I want to know how you guys are. How are you doing? What I'd actually love to know, I have several things that I want to talk about tonight based on the questions that you got from last night, but I would love to know if you had a chance to watch last week's video where we talked about curiosity marketing, attraction marketing, kind of a deep dive into what that is and how it grows your business. So I'd love to know if you watched that. And I would love to know if you have any follow-up questions, and feel free to go ahead and ask them now. I want to dive into that. So tonight is really the follow-up to what we did last week. So if you didn't watch last week, you might be like, I don't really know what you're talking about. It honestly might be more beneficial for you to go and watch last week and then come back. But we are going to do a deep dive into what does this look like? How do I truly grow my business by diving into kind of changing the way I'm posting and sharing on social. And so we're going to do all those things. So Cheryl, you took lots of notes. Good. I'm glad. I've had several conversations this week with people just about, okay, I loved last week. It was super helpful, but also I kind of don't know how to implement that. And so we're going to kind of dive into that. Hi, Dusty. I'm so glad that you finally caught me live. I'm glad you're here. So I guess I should formally introduce myself. You have found yourself at Online Steps to Success. Happy Thursday. I'm glad that you're here. My name is Allison Dalkey, and I have been with Scentsy for 11 and a half years. Have the coolest job ever. But I will say that things are very different than they were 11 years ago. Actually, they're different and the same, if that makes sense, in terms of the way that we market and the way that we share, right? So we are going to, hi, Kimberly, I miss you. How are you, friend? We're going to dive right in tonight, and I'm going to take some of your follow-up questions, and we're just going to kind of dive into this. I was talking to my friend Jill the other day, and I was like, she's like, I love watching you go through the process of learning this and kind of diving into it, because I kind of did the same thing. And her and Kimberly are who I've learned so much from just by watching what they're doing. And I think that is one of the most important things that you can do. Is it is important and it's not. Here's how it is important. It's important to see what other people are doing that makes you feel. So when you are following someone on social media and you see something that they're doing and you think to yourself, really love that. Or like, I just really love her. Or like, she gets me. Like when you have those kind of thoughts about somebody that you're interacting with on social media, they are doing something right. And those are the people that you want to continue to follow and say, what is she doing? And that's really kind of how I started to learn about attraction marketing and curiosity marketing, and just really changed everything about everything that I was doing online, which is crazy. But the bad thing that can happen when you follow people is you want to make sure that you're not attempting to mimic somebody else. And that's when we talk about this subject and we talk about really shaping and shifting the way that we're interacting on social media and the way that we are attracting people to us. It's really important that we do that authentically. And I think when people struggle, I thought someone was knocking on my door. What it was. When people struggle with that a lot is when they're not truly being them and they're trying to be a copy of somebody else. And so if you're in that season where you're saying, it doesn't feel right to me, or I'm not getting the interaction I want, or it's just like, it's not working the way I want it to work, it might very well be because you may not intentionally be doing it, but you may unintentionally be mimicking somebody else that you're seeing. And so it's important that you kind of put your blinders on a little bit and say, okay, I got to get in my lane and do my thing and attract my people. The quote that I shared today to kind of tease this training is, when you do your work, you find your people. And I just think that's 100,000 times true. And that's what I'm talking about with this. When we talk about you truly being who you are on social media, it attracts your people to you. Okay, so let's do a little dive into that. I would still love to know what questions you have, Dusty. I see yours, and we will talk about that. I want to know what questions you have as we do a deep dive into this. So one of my friends, actually she's with a different direct sales company, and she's fairly new in her business. And we were talking about this the other day, and she said, she's like, I'm really good about writing content and being consistent in my VIP group, but I am not good about writing content or being consistent on my regular page. And when we think about what this business is, it is very much a business of networking. It's like in the name, right? Network marketing. We are networking, which means we are meeting new people all the time. That's how your business grows. That's how your influence grows. That's how your team grows. That's how your paycheck grows. But when you're so focused on what you already have and you're not putting a focus on how to attract more people to you, you will hit a point where you stall out. And so that's why this concept of truly being who you are on social media and attracting people to you based on you doing you, it's incredibly, incredibly powerful. But I will say that it's a process. That's what Jill and I were talking about. I'm actually shifting a lot of things lately. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of walk you through the way that I started stepping into this, and then share with you like how I've changed lanes and where I've shifted, and hopefully it'll make a little bit more sense to you. So last year, at the end of the year, I kind of had a brainstorming session and sat down with Brian, and I just said, okay, what are we going to do? Like, let's think about our strategy. What is our strategy in growing our network? Because we were kind of in that situation where we were stalled out. And when you're in direct sales, that's not, you don't want to be in a place where you're not bringing new contacts in all the time. So, but I just was kind of stalled out. So I had my personal Facebook page and my personal Instagram page, and I had pretty much stopped posting anything about my business on those pages quite a while ago, before the end of last year. And there were several reasons for that, but I really wanted to have a place. And actually what it was me beginning to step into this, and I didn't know that's what I was doing. I wanted my social like presence to feel like me, and not to feel salesy, and not to feel pitchy, and not to feel like I was always trying to get another sale, get another recruit, right? Because it can feel like that sometimes, and that's really, really frustrating. And sometimes it works initially, and then slowly and slowly your interaction declines, and the way people are engaging with you declines, and you're not as effective, right? So I had already kind of gone through that bump of like, this doesn't quite feel right to me. So I hit 5,000 Facebook friends towards the end of last year, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make a page. And I really, honestly, I wish I would have done this earlier. So if you're nowhere close to 5,000 friends, it doesn't matter. I made a page that I decided it was going to be everything that I would normally share, but it was also going to be very intentional. Kind of like we talked last week about, it was going to be my box. This is what I have to offer. These are the things that I love. This is who I am. And I was going to be very intentional about it. I was still going to put in an ask, a business ask, or a business mention every once in a while, but I was going to be very vague about it. Now, some of you are thinking, why would you do that? I have forever been told I am supposed to brand myself. I am supposed to live and breathe and die this business, right? There's probably maybe a season when I said that. I don't know. I don't think it's been recent. Because it is vitally important that in this process of you growing your business and you becoming the better version of you through this business, because this is a personal growth business, that you don't lose who you are. And some of you have found yourself in a spot where you don't feel like things are working like they should anymore, or you're frustrated, or you feel like, I'm just hitting the wall over and over again, because you have completely wrapped your identity in this business. And I'm just here to tell you that when you do that, it becomes really, really, really hard to stay the course long term. So how do we remedy that? How do we get more of us back? How do we start to feel like us? It is through this process of exactly what we're talking about. And that's a little bit where I was. I definitely walked through some of that in my earlier years in the business, maybe around year 5. There were some rocky patches where I didn't really know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. And so I had already been through that road, but I also recognized that that's where so many of you are. And when you have lost who you are, it's very hard for you to be an effective influencer. It's hard for you to share something and someone say, I want to do what she's doing. So that's why this is so helpful and so vital, is it can truly, I think for me anyways, that's why I'm really lit up about it, because it has made my work better, and it has made me a better leader. It has made me a better recruiter. It's made me better at sales, all the things. So let's dive into nitty gritty about what this looks like. So you really get to pick what it looks like for you. There is really no wrong or right way. I lean towards the edge of curiosity marketing, which we talked a little bit about last week. I started stuttering. All right. Where on my page, I really don't ever say anything about Scentsy. I talk about my business sometimes and about the lifestyle that it's afforded me and how grateful I am for it on occasion, but I do not ever come out and say exactly what I do. Now, most people that follow me currently know what I do. But what I want is when somebody finds me because I shared something shareable. Remember, we talked about that last week, that it's so vital that the content that we're sharing is something that someone would find value in. Now, it doesn't have to be all the time. Yes, just post a great picture of your kids if you want to, if you're comfortable with it. It doesn't always have to be shareable, but when it is, that's when people start to come to you. So when I very first plugged into this, one of the first posts I wrote super intentionally was about working from home business tricks that I had learned over the past decade. And that one post got shared 14 times. Well, 14 is not a huge, great number, but we have to continue to think that the more content you share and the more value you add online, the more people are coming to you going, oh, my friend Tiffany shared this. This is really helpful. Who is this girl? And then they're clicking on your profile and they're coming to see you. Here's what I want you to think about. When someone comes to your profile for the first time and they do not know you, what are they going to think about you? What are they going to perceive? Is it going to be a stream full of flyers, specials, deals? Because if I find someone and that's all that it is, there's very little chance that I'm going to engage or stick around or follow or like, right? But on the flip side, if I go to somebody's page that I do not know and I do a quick scroll and I see the things that they're sharing about and I see the things that they obviously value and I see the things that they're interested in, then if I'm interested in the same things or I think this looks like a cool person, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll follow this person. And then what you get to do in the process of that is build a relationship based on the things that you're sharing and based on the information that you're capturing from people, which we're going to get to that in just a second. So do you see the difference? Do you see how you might be the best Scentsy consultant in the world? You might be. You might be selling $5,000 every month. You've earned every trip. You've earned every award. And it's all going smooth for you. Maybe so. Teach me your ways. No, I'm just kidding. But normally, people are trying new things all the time. They're figuring out what fits and what doesn't, what sticks and what doesn't. Regardless, even if you are the very best Scentsy consultant, and I come to your Instagram feed and I see and maybe you have beautiful pictures of warmers and you have beautiful content. And I speak from experience because I had an Instagram feed that looked like this. It's still not going to engage somebody because I know that it's a product. I know that it's direct sales. And I know that they're going to try to sell me something, right? Yeah. So I'm less likely to engage. But when I see somebody's face frequently on their Instagram feed or their Facebook page, when I see things that they love, things that they value, content that is valuable to me and that I learn something from, I'm going to stick around. I'm 100% going to stick around. Okay, so that's what I want you to think about. So one of the questions that I got when I asked today what kind of follow-up questions you had is, and there were several very similar to this. What do I do if I can't get over the worry of what people are going to think? What do I do if that's the situation? That's what I love about this process. I think a few weeks ago, was it a few weeks ago? I don't know. I said something about we are the most over-informed and under-reflective society in history because we do not reflect. We get fed information at ridiculous speeds, but we don't take the time to actually reflect, right? So what I love about writing intentional content that is you and is authentic to you and who you are is that it forces you into reflection. Honestly, it forces you into reflection. So I'm going to give you some examples. I wish I could pull up my Instagram. Well, I don't need to because I know what I posted. I'll just tell you. And here's the other part about that. Jill and I were just talking about this. This is, I think, one of the hardest things to teach because, for one, it's like me asking you, it's like me trying to teach you how to be you on social media, right? In front of a bunch of strangers. And it's like me trying to teach you how to be vulnerable, which is literally almost impossible to do. So vulnerability is when we have the willingness to share something that we have walked through and learned from, and we are on the other side of. But we remember how it feels. I can feel the raw emotion of my decision to have a prophylactic mastectomy at 33 33 years old, 34, 33. I think I was 33. In the moment, in the middle of all that, I probably wouldn't have written a ton about it. I probably would have written a little bit about it now, like on social media. But now that I've walked through that was 2 years ago, and I've had walked through all the things, I can choose to be vulnerable about that situation and the way that I felt and how I grew through it. Because what actually connects us in life is not the things that we're great at, not the things that we do really well. It's the things that are hard that connect us. It's the things that we often feel like maybe I'm alone in this and nobody else has ever felt this way. When someone else steps forward and says, no, I felt that way. I was put in that same situation and I had to make that same decision. And this is what it felt like to me. And this is the decision that I made. And this is where I am now and how I'm on the other side of it, walking through those things. That's what vulnerability is. And it is vulnerability that connects us, that makes other people say, I like her. And I feel like I know her, because you've stepped over the line to say, I'm just going to be real. Now that makes some people so very uncomfortable that they can hardly breathe. Like some of you are having near panic attacks on the other side of the screen, I bet. And part of it is because there is this fear in us that says, what will somebody think? What's somebody going to think of me? What are they going to say? Are they going to approve of this thing that I walk through and this thing that I'm sharing? Are they going to think I'm crazy, right? But what we forget in the middle of worrying about all that is, well, what about somebody who needs to hear that they're not alone in this? That's how people get connected to us. I did not know that I was doing this, but years ago, I made a decision that I was going to write on my blog every day for a year. It was bonkers, wild, crazy. I don't know why I said I was going to do it. But what happened was it became a journal that I just posted on Facebook every day. And granted, some of that was transparency, which is different than vulnerability. But it was me walking through a hard season. It was a season where we had 2 foster babies and 2 of our own children. And it was incredibly trying on my faith, on just a million ways. But in this season, when I chose to write about it and just put myself out there, I still have the dearest friends to this day who started following me in that journey because there was something that I shared or something that I said that someone related to and said, me too. Me too. Like, I have felt that way. I get that. She gets me. She understands me. All the things that I wanted to say, she's saying. Okay, so I want to back up. I don't want you to think that this means that you have to be this great writer to share on social media. It doesn't. It should actually be fairly easy for you to do this. When we talk about our box, we talk about all the things that we already love. Like I did a houseplant tour the other day because I really love houseplants. See, look, I love houseplants. And what is so funny is the interaction I get from doing a houseplant tour, people messaging me about houseplants, is so ridiculous. But what it does is it builds relationships online. And I will be the first to admit that I used to be like the biggest, like, how many times did you hear me say I hated social media in the past few years? Several. Like a lot of times, because it was frustrating to me because I wasn't being me. And as I stepped into me and being authentically me, not only did social media feel better to me, but I started building real relationships and I started attracting people to me who liked the same things that I liked, who were in the same season of life that I was in, that like all of those things. And so, see, look at y'all. Those of you who see my tour, you now know, right? You know my houseplant tour. I just got an orchid that I need to show you. I'm going to show you on Instagram after this. She's beautiful. I'm just going to pray over her so she doesn't die. She's so pretty. She's on my desk. Like, I really love her. Anyways, but all of the houseplant people get it. And then I get to build relationships with them. But I'm not just a crazy houseplant lady. Like, there's so many things. You get on my Instagram feed and you'll see quotes, me sharing things that I'm learning and walking through, books, people coming in through things that we're sharing that have to do with books. What's so crazy is the things that I share have nothing to do oftentimes with my business, but the way that they're attracting people to me and the way it's helping people know, like, and trust me is, for one, I'm showing up in people's feeds more because my interaction is higher, because I'm not trying to sell something, right? And I feel more like me, and people are coming to me for the first time ever, literally in 10 and a half years, 11 and a half years, however long I'm doing it, because I'm being the best version of myself and I'm sharing content that is helpful and valuable to other people. Does this make sense? So it should partly be easy and at the same time hard. It's going to be hard because you're going to feel, I'm just going to say it, you're going to feel dumb. You're going to feel like nobody cares about my houseplants. You will be shocked at how many people care about your houseplants. I do. I will watch your houseplant tour if you have houseplants. Showing up in my customers' social feeds more and more fully because I'm sharing how hard you have kind of been trained to do it. Like, oh, just put a little, oh, and if you love this, then you should buy. No, you can still put your business into your social media account without feeling pitchy, salesy, whatever. Honestly, at least minimum of 80% of your posts should not have anything to do with sales at all, ever. Now, the other 20%, if you want to go on the road, this is what I was going to say earlier. Some of you may want to still incorporate, like, be more attraction marketing and less curiosity marketing. I mentioned earlier that I go more towards the road of curiosity marketing, meaning I don't talk about Scentsy, and it's very intentional because then people ask me the questions. I said something about my business the other day and how grateful I am for, I don't know, it was like one of those posts, like I'm so grateful for this lifestyle because of my business or whatever. And I had 3 people message me like, what kind of business do you have? What? First of all, that means that they have started following me in the past 6 months, probably, because that's probably been about the time that I haven't shared about it. And secondly, I got to have an actual conversation with them. They're coming to me, right? It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. So it is a process, though. It's going to take time for you.
Yes. What's up? Oh, wait. Supposed to be that.
That wasn't very encouraging, but okay. Brian sent me a note. Brian wrote me a note. I know. I'm just telling you. Anyways, I totally lost my train of thought. So that's the whole point, is that you've got to figure out what this looks like for you. So the biggest thing is it is a process. So I for a season had a separate business account on Instagram, and I just recently decided I'm going to let it go. And I'm just going to do everything in this lane. So you decide, do I want to be really in the curiosity marketing lane where I don't really say anything about it at all, except I make those comments about my business. I talk about lifestyle. I talk about that kind of stuff. Or do I want to be kind of in this attraction marketing where I'm offering this box of all the things that I love, all the things that I'm interested in, all of that, but I'm going to have some more direct Scentsy posts. So maybe it really is like a post of my warmer, or a post of something that, or of me talking about how I'm gifting Scentsy to somebody because they were so grateful. They were so good to me, and I want to thank them. So that's kind of like, you decide how much you want to show, right? So it's kind of something you have to play with and figure out. But the biggest piece is that you've got to figure out how I'm going to add value in other areas where people are going to start coming to me because they know that this is what I'm about. Like, these are the things that I am passionate about. These are the things that I stand for. These are the things that I have value to add to the world in these areas. So we talked about vulnerability. We talked about reflection. It's going to take some reflection on your part for you to write some content that is meaningful and valuable to other people. And reflection is good. And for some of you, this is going to be really, really hard because you haven't dealt with your stuff, and like to kind of grow through the process of it, you have to. And that's okay. It's a process. Now, I had a really good question about privacy. So somebody said, I am a police wife. Her husband's a policeman. And she said, so she's very limited on what she can post on her personal page. And that she asked me, should I start a page where I'm kind of doing this? It's more me intentionally, that's separate from my personal page. And I would say yes 100 times. That's what I did. And I wish I would have done it sooner. And there's several reasons. One of them is like, in just full honesty, I don't have 5,000 Facebook friends anymore. I did. I've lost some. But I had 5,000 Facebook friends. And in all honesty, so many of them were Scentsy people. And in terms of networking and building my business, you're not helping me. You know what I mean? Like, you're not buying from me. You're not joining my team. So I needed to make sure that I was creating a way where I could have my friends be my friends, and then have this other space where I could share and encourage and all of that stuff. Does that make sense? So if that's the thing, if you're like, I don't want like I want to have my personal page, that's totally fine. Do it. That's fine. You do it. You do you. And let that be private. But you need some public form of marketing on social media. So whatever you choose to do, if you make a page, it's going to be public, and it should be, because that's how you're going to attract people to you. If you have something private and they can't see who you are, how are you going to attract people to you? You're not. And the same is true for Instagram. So if you're not comfortable, you want to have a private Instagram account, that's fine. If you don't want to show your kids, you don't have to. If you don't want, like, you get to draw the line on what is appropriate for you to share and what is not. But you need a public forum where and that's the beautiful thing about social media, is it is free for you to do it. And why wouldn't you, right? Why wouldn't I create valuable content? Now, here's the thing. When we talked about, we want to make sure that we have a place to capture information and send these people. So them coming to your profile, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, whatever you are choosing to focus on, even YouTube, whatever your medium is, you want to make sure that there is another level for them. So they are a really great customer. Well, my really great customers, if you see on my Instagram page, they're not getting Scentsy there. Where are they getting Scentsy information? For me, that all happens through email and text. Now, you do you. So many of you have great VIP pages. You have like inner circle things happening. That's really cool. But you do need a next level. So where we take somebody who becomes a customer, who becomes a host, who becomes a potential recruit, and they go not only from this space where they see your profile, but into something where they're getting fed more of the opportunity, more of, here's what we have to offer, etc. So you decide what that is. Is it a VIP page? You could call it whatever you want. Are you capturing emails and creating an email list? Are you texting? Whatever you're doing. What was I going to say? I have a pretty strong passion about collecting information outside of Facebook as well. So I think a VIP page on Facebook is really great, but I also think it is wise for you to have people's contact information outside of that, because those rando days when Facebook doesn't want to work, well, what if it doesn't come back? Like, I know that's not very likely, but it's, it could, who knows? So that's why I'm a huge email list advocate fan, because as you collect emails, then you have that list and it's not going anywhere, right? So that's something for you to think about. I wanted to see what Cheryl said. Oh, look at that. Cheryl says, definitely makes sense. I have a business page, VIP page, and my personal page. My best engagement is on my VIP page because I have begun sharing more personal, authentic posts. Yes, 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 exactly. Exactly. Somebody said, should my VIP page be public or private? I don't have one now. When I did, it was private, and that's up to you. But it needs to be something like, not everybody needs to go into it, in my opinion. And this is my opinion. It needs to be for customers, for hosts, for potential recruits, not just for anybody at all. The page where you are branding yourself, where you are networking, where you are attracting people to you, that's for everybody. And then as they become more interested in your product and your services, then they get put into your VIP group or whatever that may be. So that's one of the things you want to think about, Cheryl, is the VIP group is great. And if you're regularly hosting, that may be one way you're adding people to it. But how can we add more people to it by you utilizing the power of social media and attracting people to you based on the things you know and love? Does that make sense? So that's something you want to think about. Back to the privacy question, you need something public somewhere. And you decide what you share, but the sole purpose of it is for you to attract people to you and your business and your brand. Okay, so here's the kicker. It is so, so vital that as you step into this, you become ridiculously consistent. You will not see the results that you want unless you decide to be ridiculously consistent. I made a commitment at the beginning of the year that I was going to post at least once a day, every single day, except for Sundays. And I have done that. And then the key is, and we talked about this last week, is you want to interact. So especially if you're asking a question and people are interacting with you, you want to interact. And not only do you want to interact, but you want to interact and help people see that they're seen. Because if you're just saying something to the world, but you're not responding to what people are responding to you with, well, that's like being in a room with someone and them sharing a bunch of stuff and then you offering your piece and not saying anything back, right? Like, well, that was rude. It's the same thing. The sole purpose of what you're doing is for you to help people know, like, and trust you. Well, I can't really get to know, like, and trust you if you're not responding to the things that I'm writing on your post, right? So engagement is important, and you have to look at it as part of your business. It's part of how you're developing trust with people. Okay. Oh yeah, Joe says set a timer on your phone to make your post to create consistency. Instagram really cares about consistent times. I don't know that Facebook does as much, but the point is that even if it's not the same time every day, that it's every day, and that it becomes a check on your list. Now, another piece to that is, I think you decide what it looks like for you. I'm going to give you a few tips on the how, because so many of you are like, I don't even know where to start. I don't know. When I started doing this, I literally had a list of all the things at the top of that I wanted to talk about, things that came up. I carry a notebook with me, which I know that I don't have to carry a notebook with me because I have notes on my phone, but I like to write things down. So I carry a small notebook in my phone and I write down, like, when I'm feeling an emotion. People are very attracted to emotions. When I'm feeling an emotion, I may not stop and write right then, but I'm going to go back to that. How was I feeling? Why was I feeling that? Is that something I want to share with my audience? Is that something that someone else is going to relate to in that feeling? And then I write something and share that. This is literally like, I love Bug. I love you. Already did? Yeah, she says great. This is literally like a monthly calendar, and it is just the way I visually plan out social posts. Like, call me crazy, call me nuts, but it's helped me be more consistent. And again, it's consistency that is key in this game. And here's the thing, as you dive into it, I want you to play with it, because it is going to feel weird and foreign to you, especially if you've only ever posted pictures of your kids and pictures of Scentsy warmers. Like, you're going to be like, wait, what? Like, And I know some of you have messaged me and you're like, I don't even know what else I like. I don't even know what else I care about, what I'm interested in. That's that self-reflective piece, right? Where we need to dive in and do some self-reflection. Oh, Dusty, I wanted to go back to your question. She says, do you have any advice for a Cincy consultant that lives in a very small town? You live in a very small town, but it is a very big world. And that is the beauty and the power of social media. And in this day and age, in this time, when people order online all the time, you do not need to have a sole local business. Yes, your local town can be part of your business, but there is so much more out there for you that you can attract to yourself and to your business. And that's what this is when people say, well, I don't know a ton of people. You don't have to know a ton of people. We have the power and the leverage of social media. So one of the other things I want you to think about too is I want you to pay attention to the people that you follow and the people that you engage the most with. So who are you engaging with? What are they sharing? Are you sharing things from other people? What are those things that you're sharing? Everything, you've got to become your own little investigator, because you are just as much being kind of lulled into something as everybody else is. And not that everybody is lulling somebody into something, but you want to be watching and paying attention to what you're interacting with and how you're engaging with other people and why. And that's where we want to start to say, okay, I really do I'm looking for this person's posts. Why? Why is that? Go back and evaluate that. Are they really vulnerable? Are they sharing things that are hard? Are they really passionate about something? Like, what is it that makes you so attracted to that person? And those are the things that you want to start to replicate, not what they're doing, but how they're doing it. So be aware of what you're engaged in and why, and that's going to help you grow as well. The other thing is, notice the people that you're following that are in similar niches that can help expand your network. Okay, so let me give an example. Let me think of an example. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you follow, let's say that you love making cookies. Like, it is like if you could have the day to make cookies, like it's your thing. You love it, you're into it, cool. But also you're into your Scentsy business and you want to make money and all things. Okay, great. But you love cookies. So there is an event planner in your town. And you've started following her on social media, whatever. Maybe she's a wedding planner. I don't know. And you reach out to her and say, hey, I love what you're sharing. I love watching your business grow, all the things, because we support other women and we encourage other women, and that's how we grow and we network, right? And I have this passion and love for making cookies. Is there ever a time when maybe you're doing a booth and you needed a couple dozen cookies that I could help provide for you? And figure out how you can add value to other people. And it may not be in a physical form like that. It might just be even teaching or engaging with somebody based on what your skill set is. How can I help somebody else? And then how in turn can they help me as well? Look at people that are kind of in similar areas of, you don't want someone that's going to be your competition per se, right? I wouldn't really do this with somebody that's in another direct sales company because their audience, it might be beneficial to you because they might be interested in your product, but I would do it more with people that have similar interests as you, or where you have a value or something that you could add to somebody, even if it's time, even if it's, you're really good at teaching about this one thing and you could go and teach it to these preschool moms, and then they in turn, now they all follow you because you've asked them to, and you get that opportunity to gain their trust and get them to know you and like you, right? Does that make sense? Okay, I want to know what questions you have, because I feel like this is the hardest thing to teach ever. And really, this is like the surface. And I hope, if nothing else, it's helping you be reflective and think about your strategy, which some of you have come out to me and said, I don't have a strategy for social media. Like, I don't have one. So if nothing else, I hope it at least pushes you into saying, what kind of strategy can I create? And then I'm hopeful that you'll just press into the process of this, because it is so much of a process of kind of figuring out what's going to work and what's not going to work. But here's the reality, and this is the biggest piece. And if you have questions that you're asking them, social media is changing. And unfortunately, I think the view that people have of direct sales is changing. There are just some people who are turned off by it. And it's just because, one, they've had a bad experience, or two, they don't really know, they don't fully understand it. Or they think it's a scam, or you've heard all the things, I'm sure. So we have to recognize those things, and we have to say, okay, if those things are true, if there are people who are just going to be turned off if they know that that's what I'm doing and that's all I'm doing and that's all that I am, how then can I attract people to me and then gain their trust, so that when they followed me for a long time and we had interactions and conversations, that when I bring it up and then say, hey, I think you'd really be great at this, because we've had lots of conversations to that point, So that's what I want to challenge you to really reflect on. How is social media changing? Because it is. And how then do I engage in that? The other thing is, Facebook is changing very soon in the way that you see the feed. So Brian read me an article the other day about how stories are going to be interwebbed with the feed. So you know how right now when you get on Facebook, stories are at the top. Well, stories are going to be intermingled with posts, which is going to be a game changer for business and for interaction. So Facebook and Instagram both want you to use all of the features that they have. They want you using stories. They want you writing posts. They want you sharing all of those things. And so the more that you do that, and the more that you're engaging with other people, because it's a social network and they want you to socialize, the better you show up in people's algorithm, in somebody's feed. So it's something else you need to think about is, if I'm not doing stories, how do I incorporate stories? What do I want to share? It all has to do with my box. How do I do that where it feels like me? I want to leave you with a few. Y'all don't have any questions? I have lots of questions. I don't have a lot of questions. Okay, got all my YouTube questions. Instagram, y'all have any? Facebook, y'all have any questions? I don't even know where I'm at. Mindy says, am I the only one who doesn't know what the stories are or how to use them? So stories are just a very shortened video clip with, and in full honesty, I don't actually ever use stories on Facebook. I post all my stories from Instagram to Facebook. But when you see someone's face highlighted with a circle around it, it means they have a story, they have a story from the past 24 hours. So stories stay for 24 hours and then they're gone. Now they are archived on your end, and on Instagram, you can turn those stories into highlights. So if you go and look at my Instagram feed, you will see a highlight reel of places we've traveled, books, kind of my box, what my box is. Words of encouragement, everything that's in my box, quote unquote, like all of the pieces of me that I intentionally share about are in my highlights, because I've shared about them in my stories at some point. So, hi, Cindy. Mary says, I always reflect on your videos. Well, Mary, way to go with the reflection. You can come up with questions later when you're gone. Well, you can always message me. It's a lot easier if I can answer them live for you. Edna says, I haven't really plugged in the story as much as I struggle to stay consistent with posting. So one of the things I love about stories, and for especially the people that I follow, stories are a chance really for you to get to know somebody, I feel like, on a deeper level. They're usually a video of somebody talking about something that they're going through, or funny, or their kids, or whatever. or a houseplant tour. I don't know. People do things like that. And for me, it is stories that make me feel like I know somebody the best. I have a really good friend who she lives in Idaho. I don't ever hardly get to see her anymore, but I feel like we are still really good friends, and I talk to her all the time because I see her stories. And when somebody pops up in stories, you're seeing their face, you're seeing their family, you're seeing things that they're doing, and it just makes people seem more real. And we're going for authentic and real. Like that's a game changer. So there's something to play around with for sure. There's lots of fun things that you can do with stories. You can ask people questions, or you can have people ask you questions, and you can answer questions. You can talk about a certain topic. You can talk about your favorite ice cream. Like you can do whatever you want. But I think the biggest thing is that you figure out how to kind of fit those, that you start to fit stories into the process of that, because it really helps when it comes to the vulnerability and authenticity piece. Now all your questions are coming in. Cindy says, so I have a question. Earlier this week, I thought I was going live on Instagram. I did see it on my story, but not on my Instagram page. Do you have any insight about how that works? So it's when you go live, it's not going to show up in your feed of squares on Instagram. It is just going to be in your story, but you have access to your archive of stories. There's a little clock looking thing. It's an archive deal. It's like a part of a clock. Maybe, I don't actually know if that's what it is. That's what it looks like. And if you click on that, you can see the things that you've gone live or the stories that you've done. And you can choose to put those in your highlights if you want them to stay on your page. So I hope that answers your question. Danielle says, everything's coming together. I didn't know who I was, and making the diagram the other week really helped. So many aha moments. Well, I'm so glad. Okay, well, I really first of all, thanks for diving into this, and for sticking around, because but two is I'm still in the middle of the process of refining and making it better for me and figuring out what works the best. But I think if you're willing to know that it's a process, that it's going to be better for you. Pam said, I'm confused. You want us to post personal stuff on our personal pages? I want you to post personal stuff that's not just personal stuff, but that's intentional. And here's the thing, Pam, I'm not saying ask on your personal page, but I'm saying that you have a dedicated place that's a public place, whether it's a personal page or it could be a business page, but it doesn't necessarily have to be about your Scentsy business, where you're sharing you, where you are attracting people to you because of who you are and the things that you love and the season of life that you're in and the values that you have. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, Mindy says, when you share on Instagram story to Facebook, is it then a Facebook story too, or just a regular post on the newsfeed? No, Mindy, it shows up as a Facebook story as well. Any tips on getting comfortable on lives? You just have to go live. You just have to go live. It just takes time. And I think that a lot of people have that really awful critique in their head. I do. That voice that tells you that you're dumb and nobody cares. And you just have to shut it up over and over again. I think that's a lot of it. And you just have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's really, really part of it. But I think the more you do it and the more you see people respond to you, the easier it gets, because you know that there are the moments happening on the other side of the screen when people are saying, okay, me too. Okay, I struggle with that. Okay, so it's just a process. When in doubt, ask a teenager. Yes. Christy says, my daughter was able to teach me all about stories. Cindy said, I feel like I'm always looking at myself. I know, it's an incredibly awkward thing to do. It's not natural, but it is important. Jessica says, I don't even watch my lives after I do them still 3 years later. I don't either, because I'm pretty self-critical. I probably should sometimes to get better, but I don't. Cheryl says, the more I lean into this, the reflection, the authenticity, all of it, the better it becomes. So, so true. We become a better version of ourselves. That's awesome. That is so awesome. Okay, well, I just want to thank you guys for joining me. I kind of ran out of things to say. Okay. Thank y'all for joining me. Happy Thursday. I hope this was helpful. This is really like one of the most painful things I've ever had to teach. And I feel like I just fumbled through it. So if you have questions, send them, ask. We would love to help answer those questions and help you kind of dive into your own process of attracting people to you instead of you trying to follow people down, right? Track people down. So I love y'all, and I hope you're having a great Thursday. And I can't wait to see you next week. We'll be live at 8:30 on YouTube and Facebook, and I hope to see you then. Bye. Well, maybe bye. I forgot. Hold on. I wish if I just said bye, it would be over.